the reasons that Israel launched a strike now.
Netanyahu's the Antichrist.
I mean, that's what Instagram does say.
So, this is me and Sam Nasse's first video. My name is Jackson.
I'm Sam.
And this is gonna be a little talk show, I guess.
We're gonna be experimenting a little bit with what's going on. Basically, we wanna run through things going on in the news and then give our opinions on it. So it's gonna be two idiots talking about stuff we don't know anything about.
I don't know where I'm going with this. I had a thought in my head, but it just disappeared. Okay.
And having a good time. So today, something light. Israel and Iran.
Pretty light. So I guess we're just going to give the bunch of facts of what has happened overall, like surface level facts, and we'll just go from there, give some opinions on it, maybe some speculation, and maybe dive into the... No, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
we'll leave it there.
We'll see what happens.
We'll leave it there.
So I'm sure y'all have been seeing the kind of World War III, we're all gonna die memes on TikTok and everything else. So what happened recently was Israel launched multiple strikes on Iran, and this was on Friday the 13th, right?
Yeah.
Fun. So they were targeting their nuclear program and military officials, meaning they were trying to take out nuclear scientists, the heads of their military, the Republican Guard, and they killed, the head of the IRGC, the Aerospace Force Commander, their intel chief and deputy chief, and then 20 other senior military officials. And that was just on that Friday. Following that, Israel continued striking them, and Iran launched many counter strikes, and that's leading up to Thursday. So on Thursday, we're seeing what the United States is going to do, because obviously Israel is our ally. We give them a ton of funding, and Trump's kind of angry, it seems like, right?
Yeah. Trump has been losing a lot of favor in the Republican Party recently because of how he's acting. I am Republican, and truth, Trump's actions recently have not inspired confidence in me, for sure. I think that he's not doing a very good job being confident on anything he's saying right now. The party split is becoming more and more obvious. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think a lot of people look at the party split as it's happening and be like, it's like a horrible thing. I think it's good that there's disagreements in the party, but at a time like this, I feel like we need to be a little bit more unified in our decisions. And I think the obvious answer is to stay out of Israel and Iran. I think the large majority of American population would agree. I mean, if I had to take just a guess, I'd probably say at least 80%.
I think that was a poll. I think they did a poll a couple of years ago, and that was about what they said, 80%.
Yeah, if I just had to guess, if we get into a war with Iran, I don't know, bro.
Yeah,
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and we can get to that too, because I mean, as far as I can tell, it seems increasingly likely that the U.S. will likely get involved. And just seeing what's going on, we've been sending more and more aircraft to the region. We've been sending we have 3 carrier strike groups in the area now. Just today, I just saw this right before we started here, that they sent the bombers over to Guam, B-2 bombers, which are the only ones that can actually take out Iran's nuclear program. So we sent those over to Guam, and I mean, they're moving towards it.
I mean, the thing with that is that I always say that the American population likes to say that they know a lot.
I mean,
but really, the people in charge obviously know a little bit more than we do. But just from the outside looking in, it obviously kind of looks like we're heading in that direction. hopefully nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope not, but that's just my view on it. Because I mean, Trump left the G7 early, on the 16th to come back, citing, he even said it himself that it had to do with the Israel-Iran conflict, and he called 2 Security Council meetings that day and then the day after. And I think he's continued to do that since. And my information's only since Thursday, but he's been having those meetings recently.
Yes. I saw
the Tulsi Gabbard.
The Tulsi Gabbard thing. I was going to bring that up. I wasn't exactly 100% sure if that was true, but I saw the interview with Trump, and he did say that he basically went against what Tulsi Gabbard was saying, that they found no
no evidence
of
Iran is pursuing a nuclear bomb, essentially.
I mean, yeah. In past years, I would tend to agree that Iran wasn't pursuing, but now I feel like they actually are a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to say because I was looking more into their supreme leader that they have, and I've seen some quotes from him that are like very against nuclear bombs, but obviously it could just be like, show. Yeah, for sure. He's said things like building a nuke and using a nuke is against Islam and stuff like that. So it's really hard to tell. And I mean, he's been in control for a while now, and they haven't done it as far as we know.
I'm not even necessarily sure his name. I'm probably going to cut that part out.
It's Ayatollah Khan. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
The Ayatollahs is what I know.
Yeah. To Israel.
So the reasons that Israel launched a strike now.
Netanyahu's the Antichrist.
I mean, that's what Instagram does say.
I actually like Israel. Not necessarily. I like the area of Israel. I say I like Israel.
Yeah, I don't like the state so much.
I don't necessarily like the people in charge of Israel.
I mean, we can talk about this because there's been some polling recently. I forget exactly who it's by, but we'll tag it in there. And it's about the displacement of people from Gaza, essentially. And it's something like a third or 2/3 of the country agree that they should be forcefully expelled.
I do know that if you go, I've seen like some interviews of like Jewish people in Israel, and they're like, the Gazans need to go, or like the Palestinians need to go, and everything. It's like they're very on board with what the government is doing, I think. Obviously, I've never been to Israel.
Yeah, I mean,
so I can't necessarily definitively say. I'll probably go to Israel.
I mean, after that. Oh yeah,
get the point.
Yeah. So this whole thing means a lot. It's like more.
But I mean, I don't know. Bad.
What I'm really interested about is So say that the United States does strike Iran. What Iran then does to us, right? That's what I'm obviously concerned about. There's the terror cells, which we were monitoring more. I saw we started increasing monitoring on that. I saw that the other day.
What are the terror cells?
Like Iranian-backed terror cells in the United States, like organizations meant to cause terror, stuff like that. But then there's also the Strait of Hormuz, which is
that the plan?
What do you mean?
Wait, what is the Strait of Hormuz?
So the Strait of Hormuz is it's this area in between the Arabian Sea and then the larger ocean there, and it's on one side is like I'm not sure, it's like Saudi Arabia essentially, and then on the other side is Iran, and they have a big base on an island there, and essentially like 40% of the world's oil flows through that region there. So what would likely happen in my mind, and I've seen people talking about it, is Iran blockades it, launches missiles to stop oil from flowing through there.
I did see that. Okay, so this is what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll put a picture up on screen.
I was thinking of that.
And you see, it's like 40% of the world's oil or something like that flows through that region. And like in Iraq, when we went into Iraq, there was an oil spike in it. And oil spikes typically coincide with recessions. So that could be like devastating if Iran was to do something like that.
So I saw an interesting point brought up by, I don't necessarily remember who, but it was definitely a Republican like talk show guy or something. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah.
But the point he made was that the United States border under Joe Biden was not exactly a secure border, we'd like to say.
Yeah.
And so the point he made was that any country that wanted to get influence in the United States, or really anything that was against the United States, which is obviously a lot of countries, would probably send people in through the border and get them acclimated like that.
Yeah.
And his point being was that if Russia or China suddenly opened their borders, the United States would absolutely do the exact same thing.
I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with that at all.
So the point being is that countries like Iran almost certainly did. There's definitely a large terrorist threat in the United States right now.
I'm sure they have those cells, but I'm very confident that in the United States itself, we're fairly protected because of all of the spyware and everything else we have. We have cameras everywhere that back up to a database, and we can track most people. Who was it? Just recently with what was his name? The CEO killer.
Louis
Mangione. They tracked him down from like a flash of his face, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So if they can do stuff like that, I'm not terribly worried, but I would expect to see some action if the U.S. goes ahead and involves itself here.
Really, I think that the threat, and this is another interesting thing, and I think the threat is not necessarily Iran for the United States. I think it's the obvious bigger threat should be China. It's the United States, at least that's my belief.
Well, here's what concerns me here, because America's been facing this huge debt crisis. Essentially, we're skyrocketing upward, and now we're super involved in the Ukraine war. We're continuing funding and everything like that. If we get dragged into this, we're funding the Israeli war now. We're already funding it, but we'd also be boots on the ground.
Yeah.
But then that leaves China open to go into Taiwan, and then we're on a 3-front war essentially by ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, the American dollar can't handle that.
Obviously.
Which is terrible.
This is something I thought of, a little bit of speculation, but a big reason why the United States might actually go to war with Iran, not necessarily because it serves any interest of America. The only interest I can imagine going to war with Iran serves is if the United States literally destroys Iran and tries to flex its power to the world again. And really thinking of Donald Trump as a president, I could totally see that in his frame of view of his worldview.
Yeah.
To all right, if they're not gonna because obviously Donald Trump knows he's losing respect a little bit.
Yeah, he's been trying to do all these deals and they're falling through.
Yeah, and he's definitely losing respect. I think in his first term, I would say he had a lot more respect from foreign countries, I think.
Probably, yeah.
If you'd agree. I would agree. And now I think that he's seeing it's going down a little bit. He always claims that it's not, but I mean, we'll see. But I think his way of getting it back might be to do something rash, like flex the power of the United States again. And whether that's the right or wrong thing to do,
I mean, I would argue wrong. What did I do? I did a pros and cons list.
Yeah.
Somewhere. And I mean,
Iran never makes nuke. That's pretty good.
That's a good pro, right?
It's a good pro.
Cons. Innocent people are dying.
I mean, a lot of people are going to die, unfortunately.
Right, and here's the other thing. With with all these bombs going on in Tehran and everywhere else in Iran.
Maybe World War III.
There's all these refugees, right? They're fleeing Tehran, they're fleeing everywhere else, and with Iraq and with Syria and all the other wars in the region, we've seen where they've gone, and they've flooded into Europe and other countries.
Well, I do think that there is a little bit of a bigger power at play there. I think that someone is funding people to go to Europe and immigrate there. I think, especially in Ireland, you can tell. You went to Ireland recently.
Yeah, but there's also the Irish Prime Minister himself, who's like clearly Irish.
Yes.
He's very pro-Palestinian in that respect, and I think there's just a lot of anti-Israeli sentiment in Europe in general.
Well,
right
it's
now.
not even necessarily anti-Israeli. I was watching this interview of this guy interviewing Irish people on the street.
Yeah.
And obviously, doing something like that, you can edit out the people that go against what you're talking about. But really, what the common theme that I saw is that the Irish people wanted to crack down on immigration because a large portion of the population was becoming like immigrants from the Middle East or just other places, and they were getting paid. They were getting paid to move to Ireland. Like some of these immigrants were getting paid to move there.
Like
by the government.
by Ireland's government.
Yeah, by the Irish government, and the Irish people did not like that. I saw a statistic.
Yeah, I haven't looked too much into this. I obviously I'm inclined to not believe stuff like this because I mean it sounds insane.
Yes.
So I'd like we can do a fact check later. We'll correct anything if it's wrong. I mean, you very well could be right. But I know when I was in Ireland just in spring, it wasn't that crazy. Obviously, we only did we did Galway, we did Dublin, and we did some smaller towns. But I didn't see anything like I've seen the videos of from Ireland on my feed of buses of people getting dropped off in the country and stuff like that. I've seen who was it? I think it was Conor McGregor talking about that on.
I did see that. Conor McGregor was like, "I want to be president. I'm gonna crack down on immigration."
Yeah,
something like that.
But I mean, there has been a lot of immigrants in the region. But I want to dispel something that I have seen a lot of in. Especially coming from the UK, and they've been talking about all these. I forget what they're saying exactly, but they want Shia control or Sharia law is what it was. Yeah. They were talking about how a lot of these immigrants want Sharia law, and there have been. I looked it up because my coworkers were actually talking about this the other day. I looked it up, and there's been 4 or 5 protests, and there's 2 in Germany and 3 or so in the UK about it, and they haven't been very large. And all those organizations that put on the protest have been shut down by the government. Just I want to make that very clear that some of the Islamophobia in Europe is unwarranted for sure.
Yeah, I don't actually really know anything about that. Who would win in a fight, Prime, Thorfinn, or Thorkill?
It'll give you sources for that too.
This is an interesting matchup. Prime, Thorfinn, blah blah blah. Thorkill et al. Blah blah blah. In a straight fight, I lean toward Thorkill.
Wrong. I don't know, dude.
Thorkill, I think would win. Honestly.
So you're gonna try and edit those things in there.
Maybe we'll have a little blooper session.
yeah, we could. I like that. I like that.
Maybe a blooper video.
Oh yeah, IRGC definition's good. I meant to mention.
I didn't fucking know what the hell that. I didn't know what it was, and then I was. But when we were talking about it in there, I think I'm gonna at the bottom. I'm gonna have a little description. IRGC.
Have you watched the what is it called? It's Jubilee. The Jubilee videos. It's 1 versus 100. Just do the fact check thing that comes across.
Oh yeah, you're.
Do
right. That was kind of
yeah. I like that.
Although sometimes Jubilee is wild.
It's the most insane thing I've ever watched. The during the election with the Trump supporter versus 20 Kamala, and one Kamala versus 20 Trump. It was like the most insane video I'd ever watched in my life.
Yeah. Potential regime change.
Yeah, so we can talk about the regime change.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily, bro. This is what I need to do. I really need to like dive deep into just like a little bit of research, so I actually know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Because I would like to know when the regime change happened in the '70s, who took over who. Like
I can give you a basic rundown. I mean, I did a little bit of research into it.
Yeah.
So it was for a while it was, I don't know who was in charge before this, but the U.S. and the U.K. through the CIA and MI6 overthrew whoever was in charge and put in power a puppet who became the Shah of Iran.
So they put in power the modern Iranian government.
No, not who we have now.
Okay.
So this guy was in charge for a while, and he was like iron fist, ruling with an iron fist, and so he was cracking down on a bunch of things. He was like,
so he was actually a good leader, kind of.
No. He was like the dictators we put in charge of like Central American countries.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it was similar to that. So he's cracking down on all these protests and everything, and eventually there's a revolution, and he gets overthrown, and that's when the Ayatollahs came in. The person before is the person in charge now is the successor to the person who took over and kind of led that revolution.
Yeah.
So he united a bunch of the protesters because there was liberal protesters, more conservative, and then there was like the theocrats in there, and so he kind of united them all and ousted the government. And the guy, I don't know where he fled to, but he fled somewhere, and so he unified them all, and then he took over and consolidated power and made it a theocracy, essentially.
Yes.
And then, where we are today.
Horrible.
So, I mean, it's kind of the United States' fault. I forget why they did it. That's the biggest thing that would be important to note in there. I forget why.
I would say...
No, you know what it was? They were nationalizing the oil fields.
Oh, of course.
I'm fairly confident that's what it was. And it was a company that was mostly controlled by the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And then they started to nationalize them, so the United Kingdom was like, "Hey, we gotta stop this," and then they overthrew them. I'm fairly confident that's what it was.
Okay. I saw recently that Donald Trump said that we know where the Iranian supreme leader is. And actually, I do believe that they actually do know where he is.
Would not be surprised.
And I think that they really could kill him at any time they wanted to. Because usually, I mean, Trump usually does what he says for the most part when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, with threats,
Yeah, with
threats. He blew up that one guy when in his first term. He did that, exactly.
And this guy, this leader, the supreme leader of Iran, is probably shitting his pants. Might cut that out. But pooping his pants. I would be, because I think his only option really is to surrender if he wants to live, because I think he probably will get nuked eventually. Not nuked, bombed.
Yeah.
Killed eventually. But I was watching a thing back before Trump was into politics and really when he was back into his business.
Yeah.
I saw that he was he had this guy who worked for him who basically like messed up a little bit, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a chance to like really like fix this or whatever."
Yeah.
And essentially what happened is he basically kind of did it, but in Trump's mind, he was already going to fire him anyway. So
he was like, fix the problem and then take him out.
He basically, what he did is he was like, all right, you're going to do this, and I already have it in my mind, I'm going to fire you, but just in case you actually surprise me, blah, blah, blah. But he fired him anyway, even after he did it. And I kind of feel like Trump is the same way with a lot of other things. He's like, I already have it in my mind that I'm probably going to blow this guy up, but I'm going to give him the threat so that he could surrender anyways, but I'm still probably going to blow him up.
Yeah.
I have a feeling
I kind of feel the same way.
That's how it's going to go.
I really feel the same way. But, I mean, I really don't know if that would be a good thing overall, because, I mean, a couple things happen there if we do take him out. We have obviously another ruler could take over, and this ruler for the most part has been pretty conservative as far as going towards like a nuke. It seems like they've obviously been increasing the amount of enriched uranium and everything, but they haven't done it, right?
I wouldn't even necessarily say that is really the main. Obviously, who knows how much they actually have a nuke and how much they're researching towards it.
Yeah.
But I really think the major threat that they pose is their source of terrorism in the Middle East. Obviously, those countries are probably going to find sponsors from somewhere else, but Iran is the major sponsor of large terrorist groups in the Middle East. And obviously, a lot of those terrorist groups right now are weak, actually. A lot of them are weak right now.
Yeah, because of the whole Hamas conflict.
Yes,
going on.
Israel is just killing everything.
And we also have, we could have a more hardline get a nuclear bomb leader come in, and he could just rush for it, right? We could have something like that happen. And there's also the possibility that we end up in like an Iraq situation where we put leaders in charge and it's a mess for a while. It could be an Afghanistan situation where we don't ever really get in control, or the entire country could fall apart and the entire region gets completely destabilized for a while. Because I mean, Iran is it's like 40% Persian.
Yeah.
The rest of the region it's like Kurds and everything else. There's a bunch of different ethnicities there in the region.
Yes. Hey, Ted Cruz would not know that. Ted Cruz doesn't know the ethnic population of Iran.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would say that the only difference is that I would say that Iran is a little bit more stable than pre 9/11 Iraq.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They have twice as many troops as Iraq did when we went in.
Well, I'm not even necessarily worried about the military of Iran stopping me. I think really the more formal the military is, the better chance the United States has of crippling it in a standing conflict, unless it's a military like China, where it's like
more close,
really close. But I think of the larger the military, because everyone likes to point out that America hasn't won a war in forever, necessarily, with Vietnam. Yeah. I mean, you could say that we won.
We did win Iraq.
We did win. We didn't lose. We definitely didn't lose, but it's hard to say we won.
Yeah.
But we definitely didn't lose. I don't think we got our goal, though, necessily.
I mean, we...
Kind
of.
of.
It depends on... It's more, we didn't get what the public wanted, but we got what I think America wanted. Yeah. For sure.
But I think in those instances, those militaries are just largely guerrilla-based operations that really have no formal military, and the people are always going to do that.
The problem, so if America like does more than just bombing and we actually start sending troops in, Iran's on this massive plateau. So the reason we were able to take out Iraq so fast is they had highways and it's very flat desert ground. Mm-hmm. So we take the highway all the way to the capital and decapitate the government. Iran is not the same way. The majority of the country is in mountainous plateaus.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, they have double the military that Iraq did. It would be a much more Vietnam style invasion than it would be Iraq. Is what I'd be worried about.
Yeah, hopefully it just doesn't ever come to that.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
But yeah, I think that's probably all we're going to talk about today. Hopefully it's not too long. We're showing a lot. Hopefully, yeah. I think that's probably going to be the end of this video. Not sure what we'll title it. Hopefully we have a cool name and a cool YouTube logo and a cool YouTube platform, and
stay tuned. We'll launch some more.